20.
The first thing that I wanted to talk about was the NFC East. This is a funny division. This is a division that did not have a ton of success last year. They didn't have a single team that went over 500. It was a division that any one of those teams that made the playoffs last year, we really all thought that they had no chance of winning a game in the playoffs. No chance of really making a run. But we've seen this division. Cowboys just spent a whole lot of money signing Dak Prescott. The Giants just spent a ton of cash signing free agents like Kenny Golladay, Adoree Jackson, trying to improve that team to make a playoff push. The Washington football team signed Curtis Samuel, a relatively high-rated receiver from Carolina. I mean, then there's the Eagles. We don't really know what's going to happen with them. They look like an absolute dumpster fire from the outside, but this is a team that only a handful of years ago was a perennial playoff team, a team that won the Super Bowl. So I just kind of want to beg the question, what is this division? What is the state of this division? Are they going to be as bad as they were last year? Is it just going to be another race to 8, 9, 10 wins, and whoever gets there is going to be the team in the playoffs, and then they'll just be one and done? Or is one of these teams actually going to step up and be a team that can actually make a run at the Super Bowl and actually win a lot of games and be a threat in the NFC? Well, me and Steed, off air, we're just looking at Super Bowl odds, looking for the next Hooters bet. For those that may not know, we did last year, we did a Hooters bet where we put $20 on the Raiders to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, they didn't even make the playoffs, but they got off to a pretty good start last year. And the whole idea, the premise behind the bet was that we take a team that has at least plus 5,000, 6,000 odds at winning the Super Bowl and throw 10, $20 on it, and if we win, we'll throw a massive party at Hooters. So we were looking at Super Bowl odds for the next Hooters bet, the next Hooters team. Who's going to be the team that can take us to the promised land, the Hooters, and win us this cash? And there's a team that we thought, dang, there's some decent value there, and it's in this NFC East. And that team is a team that I kind of dissed their quarterback in a film analysis. And that's the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants are a team that they're really interesting looking at them from the outside. They're a team that their defense was way better than it's been previously in any other season. I mean, this is a defense that held Russell Wilson and the Seahawks to a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, under 15 points, I'm pretty sure, something like that. The defense that was really, it kept them in games every single week. You look at the Giants' schedule, basically every game was close, especially the games against the good teams, the playoff teams. The Rams, Seahawks, the Bears. Not saying the Bears have a great offense or anything. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the GOAT, Tom Brady. That was a one-score game. Held them under 25 points. And now you look at the offensive line last year was a group that I have seen that is just much better than any other Giants offensive line I've seen in recent memory. Obviously, aside from those teams where they were making Super Bowls and playoff runs just in recent times, in the past 3, 4, 5 years, this has been a group that's been under average for years. But at the end of last season, without Saquon Barkley, one of the best, if not the most talented running back in the league, is a team that could consistently run the football. Without their top guy, without their huge beast of a running back in Saquon Barkley, they were able to develop a run game. You know, they go out, they sign Kenny Golladay, that number 1 receiver, that alpha receiver that all the Giants fans have really been calling for. You have the offensive line, you have the receivers, you get the running back. maybe Daniel Jones puts it together and this team is able to make a run. I was saying it at the end of last season that if the Giants made the playoffs from this NFC East, if they were able to beat out the Washington football team and the Cowboys for that last playoff spot at the end of the season, they were easily the scariest team from that division. Now, I guess that's not really saying much looking at the division, but I really like where Joe Judge has taken this team. I really think that this NFC East Giants team, like, you got a winnable division. You have the talent on both sides of the ball. You just need to really make Daniel Jones comfortable in this offense enough to where you can put up that 24, 25 points a game that you need to win football games. You don't need to be the Chiefs. You don't need to be this crazy offense that's putting up 35 points a game to win games. You have a great defense, and you just look at that secondary. It is phenomenal. And adding Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson doesn't even have to play, and this secondary is still a top half of the league secondary in the NFL. Now you just add talent. They have so much talent on this roster, and the draft hasn't even happened yet. I personally think, they add one of the top pass rushers in the draft onto that defense. This is a possible top 5 defense. You just need Daniel Jones to finally start putting it together, to be the quarterback you drafted him to be. Maybe this team can make a run at things. And considering that we're getting plus 7,000 odds right now at them to win the Super Bowl, me and Steed, we've bought into the Giants. The Giants are the new Hooters bet. Let's go, G-Men. I wish Steed was here to give some insight, give some comments on the new Hooters bet. I'm excited for this team. I know I trashed him a little bit. I trashed Daniel Jones. He's a guy that I liked coming out of school, but just looking at the film last year, I was more than underwhelmed with what I saw. I was actually really disappointed in what I saw. But I believe in Jason Garrett. I thought Jason Garrett did a really good job tailoring the offense to Daniel Jones' strengths. You get that number 1 alpha receiver in Kenny Golladay that will take the pressure off Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, to where they don't need to be these number 1 receivers. They can just play their role. Sterling Shepard can be that guy underneath, that little one-on-one matchup in the slot. Darius Slayton can be that deep threat where if you have no safety help, hey, Daniel Jones can rip that thing over the top. And then Kenny Golladay can just be that guy, be that alpha, that red zone threat that they need. So that Daniel Jones is throwing more than 11 touchdowns in a season. But I'm really excited for this Giants team. Now, I just kind of want to also talk about the other teams right now. Are the Eagles going to be as bad as they were last year? It's just really hard to believe in the Eagles right now. You just look at everything that's going on. They just fired their coach. That their whole cap situation, they've had to cut a whole lot of players, and they can't add anyone. It really feels like this is a team that basically needs every single position. We don't really know if Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback or not. We have no idea. We saw a handful of games. The guy completed like 52% of his passes. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's good, but you can't say that, hey, they got their quarterback. You have no idea. Their running attack was average at best last year. I mean, I think it was all right. They just didn't really like running the ball a whole lot. And Howie Roseman really hasn't drafted well these past 5 seasons. He's had a handful of good picks. So are the Eagles even going to be close to competing for the division? Because it's the NFC East, I feel like we can't count them out. Then you got the Cowboys. They just signed Dak Prescott to that huge deal. They're going to have to really nail this draft, which I feel like the Cowboys generally do. But that defense, man, that defense was terrible to begin last year. So are they going to be able to turn it around? Or, like, who knows? They need to add so much talent to that defensive line and secondary. Can they even do that in one draft? And then you got the Washington football team. You got Fitzmagic. You don't even know if that's a good thing or a bad thing with Fitzmagic. He's so... One game, he looks like he's a great quarterback, and then the next game, it's like, well, shit, any other quarterback in the league would probably have a better game. But it just really feels like this division, the Giants, have a huge opportunity. That they're a team, they have everything they need, aside from possibly the quarterback. And even someone who said, like, I'd look for a quarterback possibly in the draft. I mean, if someone like a Justin Fields, I'm really high on Kellen Mond, but I don't think Kellen Mond is the kind of guy they need to step in and start. Even someone like me who's really high on him. But if there is that quarterback, maybe even a Mac Jones, like, do you pull the trigger and just say, fuck it, we're a quarterback away possibly, and we believe in this guy? I don't think they'll do it. I think that Dave Gettleman wants the pass rusher, but it's something you have to ponder, and it really feels like if this team had that number one legit quarterback, they'd really make a run at things and be a heavy favorite in this division. And the NFC is pretty open. We all know that the Bucs are going to be a good team again. The Saints, we have no idea what's going to happen. They've been a powerhouse in the NFC for years. It really feels like the NFC, yeah, the Bucs are probably shoo-in for the playoffs, but the Giants almost beat the Bucs. The Giants could take out the Bucs. It's not like the Bucs were a crazy, consistent team. The Packers are good, but we've seen what happens with the Packers in the playoffs when they go up against a team that has as much talent as they do. I'm not trying to say the Giants are a favorite by any stretch of the imagination. Plus 7,000 for the Super Bowl. It's a little bit crazy.